And joined by the pettiest man alive, Mr. P Kid,
Gang, gang,
all
gang,
the
gang.
way out in Narnia. I just keep giving different locations every day for where you at because nobody really knows. It's just
Everywhere but Batman's cave. I don't
everywhere
like that.
but Batman's cave is right. But man, we got a show for you guys today, man. First official, unofficial, official, unofficial. Depth chart is out today, right? And so I don't want to say overreactions to the depth chart here, but maybe, a little bit of surprise to what we saw on that. We'll get into that. And then our biggest strengths and weaknesses heading into this season, talking about what the Bears are coming in to the season with as their strong front and where they might need a little bit of work. And then finally, the NFL has dropped the top 10 list. So we got to get into that. And
Top 10, top 10, top 10.
anytime I get an opportunity to just call Colin Cowherd a moron, which at this point, I can't even fully blame him. Got to go to the whole crew. Like that whole show over there needs to be blown up. We'll get into that as well.
It's not that bad of a show, Pat.
No. That like, bro, us making mistakes is smaller than that. And we don't have a crew. It's just us. There's not even a crew in here with me today.
Yeah, I will say for them to have millions of dollars,
you know what I mean?
All these technical directors and stuff like that, you think somebody have that more patched up, but apparently.
But hey, we'll talk about all that more on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Appreciate you guys for showing love. Let's jump right into the show because
let's do it.
The depth chart has been released. And not to say that there's surprises on here. I don't think there's a ton of surprises. There's a couple of names that I was surprised about where they're positioned at. But, I mean.
Let's talk about that. Who were you surprised at?
There's some takeaways.
Who were you surprised at? That's actually a good one because you've been there. You've been watching it. You're up close and personal with it. Who were you surprised snuck onto the list?
You want to know what? I'm surprised that Jack Sanborn's still the number one. That's really where most of my surprise is right now. It's not because I don't think Jack Sanborn's good. It's not because I don't think that Jack Sanborn is going to be effective. Because, right, I see Abaki already dropping it, right? Gibson and Vildor at the bottom. Vildor being at the bottom doesn't surprise me. He probably still makes the team as a special teams guy. You know what I mean? Gibson, to me, is they run hockey lineups out there. They're throwing hockey lineups out there, bro. So there's probably going to be, I think they'll probably still keep Travis Gibson. I think there's still going to be more bodies on that on this thing by the end of it. So I'm not worried about it. But Noah Sewell has played really well. He's played really, really well to this point. And seeing Jack Sanborn still be behind him, even after TJ Edwards came out and said, he was a guy that I think is playing really well, a really good young guy. Love how he's attacking the game. Love how he's going about his business. That one surprised me to see Jack Sanborn still up there just because we haven't seen what he looks like a ton next to Tremaine Edmonds, next to TJ Edwards. But again, this is the first list. That's why this is the unofficial. That's why this is the list that people aren't that worried about. That's why it's not a crazy deal, but it is still news. So we wanted to hit on it because there's some names on here that might not be where you thought they would be at this point. There's some names on here that you feel are. I think the number one name that we all can speak to, it seems like Velus Jones has won that job. He is the kick returner. He is the punt returner. And I think that a lot of people are surprised by that.
I am. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't expect him to be on that list. And in fact, he's actually listed. Hold on. Why is he listed right next to DJ Moore though?
He's also one of the wide receivers that are going to be used that way, right? He's still a wide receiver on this team. He's still going to be utilized as a wide receiver on this team. I'd say this: he's catching the ball better. You got to utilize him in some routes because otherwise, every time he's on the field, I know it's a trick play. But he's
just for preseason, right?
Well, I mean, it could make it to the season if he keeps playing well.
Like this list right here?
Well, listen, this list technically has already been updated because Schmitz is no longer on the team. We're rolling out with Cairo Santos out there. You know what I mean? So
where are my other two? Well, where Mooney at?
You got to scroll down, dog. So the depth chart is broken down kind of where they would be. So it's like your X, Y, Z, all of that, right? So Chase Claypool is down there. Darnell Mooney is on there.
I'm just making sure.
DJ Moore is on there and Velus Jones behind him. But yeah, man, I'm a little bit shocked to me to see that Noah Sewell isn't number one coming in at this point, and mostly just because we haven't seen Jack, and I don't think that Jack's that far ahead of Noah.
I didn't hear that. Like, you faded out. What did you just say?
Oh, I faded out. Is it in my back?
You back?
Am I back? Okay. No, I was saying that I don't think that Jack Sanborn is that far ahead of what Noah Sewell is right now. I think that he's smart. He plays well. He's gonna be a good guy on this team. But let's be honest, most Bears fans are in love with him because he was the smart guy that looks like Brian Urlacher a little bit.
So let me ask you this: was this one of those things where is it just because he's the rookie type situation?
Probably.
Not because he's like
year in the system, has you know what I mean? All of that. It probably more so just because of that to me. Like I don't think that I can't sit here and tell you anything major about Jack Sanborn because we haven't seen Jack Sanborn. We haven't seen Jack Sanborn on the field. We haven't seen him next to Tremaine Edmonds and Noah Sewell. We just haven't. And so, like, I can't sit here and tell you one way or another that a guy's going to be great. He's going to come out and dominate because I haven't seen him do that at this point. Now, we saw him today. He is back at practice, right? Also saw Nate Davis back at practice as well. So good to see those two back in there. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, I don't think that Noah Sewell is at a point where he can't win this number one job because he's just been out there more. He's been the guy that's been more consistent to this point, been healthy to this point. And so we'll kind of see what that turns into. That's one for me that I'm really keeping my eye on. I think everything else about this list isn't crazy, right? Like Khalil Herbert wins the battle of the number one running back. I think we pretty much saw that happening coming into this. Trevis Gibson and Bill Dorr possibly being in trouble. I saw a lot of people worried about that. Just talked about that. Terrell Lewis with a shot to make this roster doesn't surprise me that much. I think that this defense is kind of looking for depth, and I think that that's something that where Terrell Lewis, you bring him in, that could be something that is he could make this team legitimately. I think the one part that may be surprising is I think Dante Pettis is the odd man out. I think he's the wide receiver that doesn't end up making the roster because he's still on that NFI list. We haven't seen him put on pads, and Bayless Jones picked this time of year to have his best camp.
I'm actually still kind of stuck on the Noah Sewell thing because first of all, Noah Sewell is a dog. We know that. And you made a great point about Jack not ever. We haven't really seen him so much.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this unofficial list. And for those in the chat, fill in a little bit as well. At what point can this change between now and the start of the regular season? And I ask this because we're not going to see much of this in preseason.
Well, 90% of these names ain't going to be on here, right? You got a 90-man roster right now. 53 men make the team.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So at the end of it.
But we know these two names are going to be on there.
Yeah.
No,
Noah Sewell and Jack Sanborn are going to be on the roster. But I think, right, that depends on what they do in preseason. That's really what it's going to come down to. And it depends on the health of these guys. Listen, guys lose jobs over health all the time, especially when at the end of the day, Jack Sanborn's an undrafted free agent that the Chicago Bears signed that looked like he could play when there was nothing else on the field. Can you look like you can play when you got Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards standing next to you? Can you look like when you can play when you've got Yannick Ngakoue standing in front of you? Can you look like you can play when you got Eddie Jackson and Jaquan Brisker coming up behind you? You know what I mean? Like it's I feel like in football more times than not, we try to use this in basketball, but to me in basketball it's harder, right? Well, of course you're going to make all the buckets. You're the only one getting all the shots. Yeah, but that don't mean like they're not guarding me, right?
Right.
In football, legitimately, if you're the only thing that shines in a pile of crap, sometimes that means you're just working the hardest. Sometimes that means that you just know where to be. We're now in a situation to be with Jack Sanborn and Noah Sewell where I can clearly see Noah Sewell is more talented athletically than Jack Sanborn is. Now it's going to come down to this. It's going to come down to the mind. It's going to come down to the brain, what he's going to be able to do in those situations. I think that that's probably the biggest thing to me that I look at with this Bears team right now and say, okay, who's going to end up edging this out? I think all the other ones, the other part that kind of catches my eye a little bit is the fact that Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith are both still, kind of listed there as the number 2 guy. Who's going to win that cornerback battle? That's going to be another one to keep an eye on. That cornerback battle is going to be a fight throughout, to me, much of preseason, much of training camp, and heading into the season, because Jalen Johnson's your 1, Terrell Smith and or Tyreek Stevenson could be your 2, and you just don't know which one is going to be there yet.
For center is what I want to ask you about. We know Lucas Patrick has had his ups and downs, stuff like that. Clearly, we have Cody White here starting there now. Do you see that changing as his health as he gets back?
I don't see much changing on the offensive line. I think that's pretty much the lineup they want to go with for comfortability. You can clearly tell that Nate Davis has his job at right guard because he's missed all this time. He got the pads back in. He's right back in with the number 1s. He felt healthy today and got an opportunity to go. Finally getting to see him next to Darnell Wright was good to see. Lucas Patrick right now, it's tough, right? Because this was his team all until the injury. And that's what I mean. Not being there can absolutely set you back. This was Lucas Patrick's offensive line. They built this line last season to be Lucas Patrick's offensive line. And because he wasn't healthy enough to stay out there, now it's not. Now it's Cody Whitehair's offensive line again. And that time had moved past. And so now, to me, right, like, you're really looking to see kind of where he fits in. And the good thing is, right, he's your 6th offensive lineman. He's still a really good guard. I still think he could play center. I'm not going to lie to you. I really do think he could play some center. We haven't seen him get much run there in training camp to this point. But, I mean, like, what we see him for 4 plays or like a half a drive on that Patriots team before he ends up going out again. And we didn't see him anymore. Now, Lucas Patrick was somebody who limped off their family fest, but again, they haven't said us anything major. But I think that your starting offensive line is pretty much set, barring health. And that's where things start to get scary to me. The health of this team, I think, is so important. Because and we can, keep it going to our strengths and weaknesses on this, but
facts.
To me, what the biggest weakness of this team that scares the crap out of me is depth. Every one of these, when you look at this team on Madden, this is one of the best teams you can see. You look at the names at the front: DJ Moore, Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Cody Whitehair, Nate Davis, Darnell Wright, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, Justin Fields, Khalil Herbert, Kari plays the game at the fullback, Chase Claypool, right? All snap. We got an offense that's going to be humming. Because in Madden, guess what? You lose a guy and you got another guy right there in franchise mode that you probably didn't built up and he can go back in. We don't have that right now. And so if we lose one body on this offensive line, I'm now terrified because we're back to where we started last season. We lose Nate Davis. We got Ja'Tari Carter and or Lucas Patrick.
Hey, listen. If Tevin goes out, Alex Leatherwood has it under wraps.
Terrifying. I don't even know if he could play. You know what I mean? Like
Larry Borum is Larry Borum.
He was what was he, the 10th overall pick? I don't even know if he can play. Like, I've seen him out there. He looks okay when he's out there, but it's one of those things that the depth of this team to me is the biggest weakness because all of the frontline names are great. Even on the defensive side, right? DeMarcus Walker, Justin Jones, Andrew Billings, Yannick Ngakoue. I think defensive line now has a little bit more depth, but all your depth is really up the middle. You lose DeMarcus Walker, you're quickly at Dominique Robinson. And I think that's why a guy like Travis Gibson might probably still will make this team and why they'll keep more defensive ends because I think they want to do those hockey lineups. They want to keep guys fresh because you quickly get to those names where you're like, ugh. All right, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, my biggest weakness for this Bears team coming into the season right now is the depth. I think the one room you have depth in is the DB room. And that's where I feel the safest at, right? If we lose Jalen Johnson, I feel like you got two DBs on this team, young guys, rookies, and Terrell Smith and Tyreek Stevenson, who are going to be able to put their stamp on the league pretty quickly here, especially with the frontline help that they're going to have. Kyler Gordon's still in there. You know, I think that he's a guy that's going to be doing well in the slot. And I think that that's the room that you feel safest at. Brisker, Eddie Jackson, all of that. You look at that linebacker room, I told y'all, man, listen, you got four. And that middle linebacker position goes down all the time. Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Noah Sewell, Jack Sanborn. Those are your guys. You lose Jack Sanborn, you got Noah Sewell. You lose TJ Edwards, you got DeMarcus Gates.
I will say this: we still have some cash available. Yeah, I know. We still have some cash available. You know, I'm not saying that we have the best guards out there on the market. You know, what's Justin? No. All right, maybe I'm reaching there. I'm reaching. Never mind. We'll leave that one alone. All right, clearly, I was about to reach
at this point.
I was about to really reach.
About it at this point. I think your team is what your team. And here's the thing: some of this we're just gonna go into the season with, guys. Hit that like button. 64 people up in here. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page, man. But some of this we're just going into the season with. That's okay. Ryan Poles literally said we're gonna add an edge rusher. We're gonna, try our best to be competitive with all of that. And then at the end of it, he was like, "There's still gonna be holes."
Yeah. Even with what we're talking about now, I have to give him credit where credit is due. He's put together a great team. He's put together a good team in a short amount of time, which was a great thing to do.
Great based on where we were at.
Yeah. So let's keep that into perspective. So I can't and he set the proper expectations. Like you said, he's already said that there were going to be some gaps there. And we were already concerned about the defense. He shared that up. Now it's one of those things where, the funny thing is you're only talking about our offensive line if someone gets hurt, which is a good probability. We understand that. But, at one point we were talking about our offensive line, period. There was no if someone got hurt. It was just as a whole, you trash. So at this point, it's a step ahead. And I love to see it.
No, 100%. And I think the main thing for me is this is me being overly concerned. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is me, right? Like, this is me being overly concerned, but it's also, this is the NFL. That's a real possibility. Yeah. It's a real possibility that guys get hurt in a collision sport. This ain't just contact. These must get in a car accident on every play. And you've got two guys on your line to me in Tevin Jenkins and in Cody Whitehair that are in question to me. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Cody Whitehair has been healthy most of his career. It wasn't last year. And that's I said this with Tevin when he got drafted and he had the back issues coming in. Them dudes is too big. And when I say too big, like, they huge people. Like, legit, like, when you see these mugs up close, like, by the way, I can't drop that news right now. Tune into the Chicago Bears podcast tomorrow. You'll see how large the difference is. Tune in tomorrow. But, dog, like, 6'7" is large.
It's a big dude.
Bro, like, you think it's, and here's the thing, everybody has met people in their life that they think are 6'7". They're probably 6'3", 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
6'7" is like, you looking at this dude like, hey, bro, that's not normal.
You're definitely looking up. Like,
where do you get that from? How did you, like, grow to that? So, like, Tevin Jenkins, Cody Whitehair, guys like that, they're too big to sustain injury and just come back perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do have concerns. Even our backup is Lucas Patrick. Alex Leatherwood, I guess I should be less concerned about him, except for the fact that my man's had mono. Like, I thought we got rid of that. I thought mono and scurvy was in the same family. Like, don't you?
No, dog. It happens.
Who's catching mono? Like, what's up with it's only NFL players, bro. You never heard about this in basketball. You ain't heard one NBA player be like, hey, bro, I got mono today, bro. I ain't even think you still could catch that, bro. I thought mono was done with, bro. Like, stop playing with me, bro. You can't tell me you've met one person in your life that caught mono, bro.
Some of the comments still think the linebacker room is thin.
100%. I told y'all. You lose Jack Sanborn, you had Noah Sewell. Noah Sewell, I like Noah Sewell. I think he should be higher on this depth chart right now. I do. I like him because I've seen him out there. He's a rookie. There's a reason he's not. But I don't disagree with you. I do think that this linebacker room is thin. You've got your starters, and legit, right after that, you're going to DeMarcus Gates, Dylan Cole, Micah Bakersville, Buddy Johnson, and Keong Dang. The only Dang we acknowledge here in Chicago is Luol.
You know what? I'm I'm not as concerned because Noah Sewell, we all feel is very capable. Dylan Cole is very capable. All right, I ain't gonna lie, I don't know who Dang is.
Dylan Cole's a nice, you know, he's
Yeah, like
he's a rotational piece. Dylan Cole is a guy that is what he's on the depth chart for. You can
hey,
slide him in there if you need to, but you don't want to.
Dang from 3. Hey man, this is the one thing I will say is overall we feel a lot better about this team now than we did previously, and I can't state that enough. I think there'll still be more changes. Like you mentioned, half these names are not going to be there. There's some people whose name I've never seen a day in my life. Um, you know, I don't know who this guy is at the end of this list. I hope he does well.
Hey dog, it's wild, right? Because there's some times where you just at camp when you see the double number, you just know one of them's not gonna make it.
That's crazy. You gotta feel some type of way about that.
Hey, bro, you see, we saw 37 special teams, 37 defense. I said, well, special teams probably ain't making it, man.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, like 37 special teams didn't make it.
Talking about Andre Schmidt.
Yeah, Schmitz, or however you say that. Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah, he probably not gonna make it, dog.
He did. He got cut today.
Yeah, he didn't make it, dog.
Rakim says, what team really walks around with more than 4 linebackers? Let's be real. No, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, do we have 4? I like Noah.
We got 4.
There's a difference, right? I like Noah Sewell. That doesn't mean that he's going to pan out. I've liked a lot of players. I like what I see from Noah Sewell. One of our top videos on the channel is Antonio Blakeney is exactly what the Chicago Bulls need. This man couldn't get on the court. Or not Antonio Blakeney. What was the little dude? I definitely didn't say that about Antonio Blakeney.
Are you talking about the Bulls?
Yeah. Devon Dotson. Yeah. Bro, I was like, oh, you know, like I've liked.
He didn't even make the team.
Hey, bro, I thought Mitch year 2 was gonna be white Cam Newton.
He didn't
that
even
video really exists on this channel. I've gotten a lot better in my football evaluation over the years, by the way. That was the fatter I've gotten, the better my football evaluation has gotten. That's what it is. That's how I'm
I think it's just the more you've worked in the actual building, the better your evaluations have gotten.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing too, dog. Seeing this person is a whole different thing, man. It's a whole different thing. By the way, and y'all want to know how much of a whole different thing it is? I had to give credit to the punter because he kicked the ball the other day, and I swear he was standing in like the 15, and it landed like 2 feet in front of the goal line. And I was like, bro, I'll never agree with drafting a punter, but what did you just do? We drafted Trenton Gill. Hey, he kicked the mess out of that ball, dog. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Hey, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. We're gonna keep this thing moving along. Not much Bears news today, but there is NFL news that we want to jump into, man. So
here we go. Yeah, I like this.
Y'all for showing love. Now, Kid gets to get in his bag, man, because and this is the best part behind the scenes. Kid don't care about the last, and none of us care about the bottom of this depth chart. It's not just Kid. Nobody cares. And y'all, and I know y'all think some of these players we got on here care. They be rocking and all that. They be talking about. Nobody cares about the second 37, right? So we had to do this because this is news for the day. But realistically, nobody cares about these bottom dudes. But the top 100 is finished as 10 through 1 was announced.
Yep.
And I mean, listen, we got to talk about it because there's some there's two Kansas City Chiefs, or I'm sorry, 3 Kansas City Chiefs in here. Pat Mahomes, I think we all agree, is the best player in the NFL, right? Like, if you don't agree with that, I'm fighting you at this point.
You know what? Here's the one thing I will argue. I don't think QBs should always be considered the best player from like an athletic standpoint. Like I do feel like you should tier it. Like,
yeah, but I think this.
I know what I mean is it should be position based. I
think
it should be a position based thing as opposed to mixing them all in. I think that does a huge disservice for different linebackers and stuff like that, different DBs. I really do feel like we always put the QB as the number one player there, but it's like on defense, that
I
matters.
don't
Like
think
there's
so.
some athletes over there that's huge, right?
I don't think so because Aaron Donald's been the number one player on this list a couple of years before, I believe. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure everybody and their mama would tell you that Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that, but it's like
The
I
players are
I feel
telling
like
you
if
that
it's
he's
not
the best
position
player in
based,
the
you
NFL.
all right. So for instance, hear me out. I don't think Jalen Hurts is number 3 in the NFL.
Well, you got a personal vendetta against Jalen
It's
Hurts.
not personal. Ain't nothing about it personal.
You gotta. Jalen Hurts and Kobe White took a chick from you one day, and now
He's older than these guys. Ain't no way they did that. like it's nothing personal, bro.
hey, you way older than Kobe White. If Kobe White took a chick from you, just give up.
Hey, I'm 10 years older than Kobe White. If he took a
Bro,
chick to me, then hey, guess what? Boy, I'm just saying.
Is
I'm just saying
Justin
this.
Jefferson number 2? I think Pat Mahomes is easily number 1. Is Justin Jefferson the second best player in the NFL? This is where my first question came in. I can get with you on Jalen Hurts maybe not being 3, but I think he does need to be up there. But is Justin Jefferson the second best player in the NFL?
Absolutely. Man was about to make history again.
It's just tough for me because it's like,
hey, you see, hey, listen. All right, so here's some Kirk smoke. I look back to some. I'm a Kirk Cousins fan. I believe he gets a really, really bad rep. But some of them passes, I was like, Kirk, why you throw that? Why you throw that? And that boy went up there and got that joint. I was like, oh, that's a receiver right there.
He gets the rep of somebody who Kirk Cousins gets the rep of somebody who it's almost hurting that you have a player as good as Justin Jefferson is, because there's so many times where, right, like we give Joe Burrow credit for saying Jamar down there somewhere.
Throw it.
But just Kirk just basically is doing the same thing with Justin Jefferson, and we got a little flack for him. But I also don't think that I don't know. Justin Jefferson is amazing. I'm not sitting here telling you he's not. He's absolutely the best wide receiver in the NFL. I'm off of that because D-Hop basically just took 2 years off, and then I think there's still an argument. The fact that Devontae Adams is not in the top 10 is kind of crazy to me. Because with everything they went through last year, I believe Devontae Adams still had 1,600 yards.
Easy money.
Like, that's kind of crazy that he's not in the top 10 to me.
I think Joe Burrow being lower than Jalen Hurts is crazy to me.
I mean,
hey, there's only one person on this list who made Patrick Mahomes say, oh, I'm tired of them talking.
But it's tough, though, right? Because I can't give Pat Mahomes credit and like take that away, because that's what everybody keeps saying with Jalen Hurts, right? Like the thing we gave Pat Mahomes credit for in the first year is, of course, he was able to win with this team. He had Tyreek Hill and this offensive line and Travis Kelce and the Honey Badger on defense. Like, of course, they were able to get to the Super Bowl. I can't give him that credit and then take it away from Jalen Hurts when I still thought that Pat Mahomes was one of the best players we had seen winning that Super Bowl. I'm here.
Patrick Mahomes without his, by the way, Patrick Mahomes without his number one weapon, Tyreek Hill.
His number one receiver. Pat Mahomes without Tyreek Hill proved to everybody
who's still a top 10 player, by the way.
I'm still that dog. Stop playing with me. You know what I mean?
Still a top 10 player. But he won a championship.
I'm not going to kill Jalen Hurts for being successful on a good team.
Yeah, but success is a team game.
We're
talking about the player.
All of it
is. The player in himself. Hey, listen, the player himself, I don't think Jalen Hurts is a better QB than Joe Burrow, which to me means he shouldn't be ranked higher. I think that team collectively, they came together. That line was crazy.
Of course.
All that stuff, it just worked. They was lightning in the bottle. It hit. I do not expect the Eagles to be back in the Super Bowl.
But here's the tough part, right? Here's the tough part. Joe Burrow, to me, has a better offense and has better options. I think his 3 is better than what Philly has, even though, right, we splitting hairs at that point. We splitting hairs, but he's also got Joe Mixon. He's also got, you know what I mean? Like we splitting hairs at that point. But like, if we're gonna break it down that much, like, listen, Joe Burrow, 4,400 yards last season, 35 touchdowns, 12 interception, 100 QB rating. Jalen Hurts, 3,700 yards, 22-6, 101 QB rating.
I don't see Jalen Hurts being better than Josh Allen.
No, he is. Josh Allen's wild, right? Josh Allen, nobody talks about this. Josh Allen is good. He's cold. I'm not going to lie to you. He's a top 10 player in the NFL. He really is. He really is. But Josh Allen is on par as far as turnovers go with Justin Fields.
No, he's on par with Dak.
No, he's better. He's worse than Dak.
Oh, wait a minute now.
No, I'm saying not as a player. I'm saying he's got more turnovers in 2 years than Dak Prescott does, which is crazy to say because Dak, right? But he's on par with Justin Fields. And Justin Fields, we've literally just been, the 2 years that we've had him, he's been a rookie quarterback with 0 offensive line, 0 wide receiver help, 0 run game. Well, he got even last year, right? Like not 0 run game, but he became the run game. And you're on par with that as far as being a guy that's allowing turnovers. Like that's like I'll take Jalen Hurts over.
You know why Josh Allen gets the credit though, even though I do feel I agree with you. He has more turnovers than Dak over the last 2 years.
Because we still remember that he sucked, and now it's like, oh, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Like that's a long jump still.
Well, when you put up 330 touchdowns in the last 3 years, 130 plus touchdowns in the last 3 years. Hold on, let me do that math again. No, that's 30. All right, it's public school. Never mind. When you put up about 110 touchdowns in the last 3 years, like, hey, you see how that number went down? But we put up 110 touchdowns plus in the last 3 years. You tend to forget the fact that he turned that ball over 10 times one season, 15 times, 14 times. The only reason why Josh Allen gets a better rep than Dak Prescott is because when he threw 14 INTs, he threw 35 touchdowns. When Dak threw 15 INTs, he threw 23. You know, that gap right there is important. That gap is important.
I'm trying to see fumbles lost because that boy be fumbling, boy. I tell you that much right now, boy. That boy,
but he run a lot.
He be like, hey, listen, it's
not an excuse. It's not an excuse.
Hold on. So last year alone, so he threw 14 interceptions last year. He fumbled the ball 13 times.
How many for loss?
8, if I'm doing the math right.
That's a lot. That's a lot right there. That's a lot.
Yeah, 8. So he had 5 of them that he recovered, and 13, right? Public school. Shut up. Yeah, I'm right. Anyway, and then he did the same thing the season before. He had 8. He only recovered 2. So you got to add on to his turnover total, which is 29 just for interceptions alone, the fact that he also had 14 fumbles in that as well. And that's 2 years. That's just in 2 years. It's a reason I would take Jalen Hurts over him because I think that Josh Allen has that team. And granted, he's got to go through the AFC. It's a lot harder going through the AFC. But I think that Josh Allen has a team that we talk about as being on par with what Philadelphia has, right? The receiving room, the run game, the defense for sure. And Jalen Hurts in his first year having that took that team to a Super Bowl. In his second year as a starter. And Josh Allen did that and still hasn't been to a Super Bowl yet.
I also am a very realistic person. I feel like when you have more attempts, you open yourself up for more turnovers. And so the simple fact that Josh Allen is slinging that field, he threw that ball 100 and what, 10, 15 times more than Jalen Hurts.
Probably.
He
be running too though. That's what must be sleep on. Josh Allen be taking off out here. Josh Allen attempted 567 passes.
The year before he took 646.
Jesus, that man be
so. I don't even feel like we're comparing the two, right? Because I don't think Jalen Hurts has had a season where he took over
the last 2 years so that we can kill the running quarterback stigma, right? Because Josh Allen's not a running quarterback because he throws the ball a ton. He also ran the football 124 times for 762 yards.
Okay, so we're not gonna change the running QB moniker because see what you just said. He threw for 646 times, so he threw it a ton, which means that he did his primary job was to sit back and throw. He ran on the side. There's some mugs who run first, or we know that that's the biggest threat you are, and passing is just secondary. And so we don't have to get very specific about that. But Jalen Hurts was kind of that guy the season before. Now, last season, nice, it worked out. He still only threw that ball, but he still threw that ball 100 passes less.
Hey, just to put that into perspective, Lamar Jackson in 2021, because he didn't play. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me get it. I'm trying to find a seat. Dang, this man don't beat it. Oh, no, I'm right. Yeah, no, 2021. Only ran it 20 times more.
Lamar only ran it how many times?
20.
20 in what season?
2021.
2021. How many games he play? Don't worry, I got you. He played 12. 2021, he played 12 games. He only ran it 20 times. If I'm going by your numbers, but I'm just looking at something else. How many yards did he get? When you take away him running, how many yards did he get?
726 yards rushing.
No, I'm talking about
how many passing yards did he have?
How many passing yards did Lamar Jackson get just solely passing?
That season, Lamar Jackson had 2,882 yards.
It's funny. The season he was injured. He got injured. He only played 12 games. And that was the second highest passing total he's had in his career. Now, you can sit there and say, well, what if he played all game? You can't do that. If it was a fifth, we all be drunk. He wasn't there. He wasn't available. But I'm just letting you know.
But that's what you was going to do for the Russian stats. Foul, checkmate.
No, it's not. No, I'm not going to do that.
That was a long play game. It was
not a long play game at all.
For it.
Lamar Jackson is absolutely a running back. I don't care what nobody say. Anyway, I don't care what nobody say. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Until that man can throw consistently over 3,200 yards, which he's never done, by the way, I ain't trying to hear it.
Hey, he won MVP off of 31, though.
Hey, listen, I'm happy he did it. I bet he won't do it again. Not like that. It won't happen again like that.
Hey, man, we'll see. He got OBJ now.
Hey, listen.
Let's keep going through this list, dog. Right, you know what I
mean? You know who's not top 10 on this list?
Yeah, he definitely not top 10 on this list.
He's not even top 15.
Not top 10 on this list. Let's keep going through this list, dog. Was there anybody else on this list? I'm still surprised by that. Micah Parsons is 9. I would put Micah Parsons probably as the second best player in the NFL.
See, that's what I'm talking about, though. Like separating it by position. I don't think it's fair that you have to compare Michael Parsons to Patrick Mahomes. They affect the game in two different ways.
Yeah, but it's about how much of the game you affect. And to me, he affects more the game than Justin Jefferson does. Like Justin Jefferson is affecting the game, but it's all dependent on Kirk Cousins getting him that thing.
Yeah, but Michael Parsons would well, I can't say never, because I mean he could have an interception, stuff like that. But it's so many people who never score a touchdown as linebackers. Like
here's the tough part. I'm pretty sure Michael Parsons.
I'm pretty sure he has. That's why I'm not gonna say never. I'm pretty sure he has a touchdown. Was it a fumble recovery or something like that? Fumble recovery and a touchdown? I think he does have one, or INT. But still, like his whole game plan is to stop the opposing team.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson's game plan is you got to stop me from scoring. Like I just don't think it should be a defensive team. It should be an offensive team.
He got a touchdown last year. He had 13.5 sacks. He's been in the league 2 years. He has 26.5 sacks already. He's been in the game 2 seasons. He has 26.5 sacks. Right? He doesn't have an interception. Must have been a fumble recovery. He's got 3 fumble recoveries last year. One of them was a touchdown. Wasn't that against us? I feel like that was against us. Now I'm thinking about it. I feel like that was the Justin Fields backward snap. Yep. Frank also confirmed it there. Yeah, I thought that was the case. Thought he had one against us. But no, it's one of those things to me where, right, like when I'm talking about how a guy affects the game, I think that Micah affects the game more so to me than anybody else on this list, than a Tyreek Hill, than a Joe Burrow, because it's all based on what he does. Like, that's why I can give Pat Mahomes credit, right? Because, yes, guys have to catch the ball, but we've seen Pat Mahomes just put guys in great positions. We've seen Pat Mahomes turn wide receivers that aren't great wide receivers into, oh snap, you can go win a Super Bowl with this guy.
So no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I see why they do it, right?
Also, Chris Jones coming in at 10, by the way, which I think.
But Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald are two defensive players, two juggernauts.
Yep.
Who, to me, impact the game more and should be top 10. If you put it in respect to their position,
yeah,
there's no way you ignore. Like, you can't ignore Myles Garrett. You definitely can't ignore Aaron Donald.
No.
So, like, how is it that they are beat out on top 10? It's only two defensive players and 8 offensive players.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. I can't give you an answer on why he's not in there, because if I'm not mistaken, Myles Garrett had 16 sacks last season, didn't he? Where's TJ Watt? Where's, you know what I'm saying? Like, the pass rushers in this game, to me, like.
And this is an angle you didn't even expect me to take. I just don't think I can't disagree with it, because the people who are on the top 10
people that are voting it are players.
Yeah, they're players. Like, I can't disagree with it. I just think that
Myles Garrett right
skewed.
now is 20. Minka Fitzpatrick 18, Max Crosby 17, Devontae Adams is 13, Aaron Donald is 11. Aaron Donald outside of the top 10 is crazy to me too. Even though is that the debated retirement thing though? Like, I don't know if that's the case on that. I don't know.
You know what also gets me? Jonathan Taylor being ranked so low.
That don't kill me. He had a down year last year.
He was the entire Colts offense.
I think, and this might be a hard take to say because of his age, but to me, you've seen the best of Jonathan Taylor. Have fun. When you run somebody like that isn't a freak of nature, you rarely see them be able to bounce back. There's not many people that can get run as hard as he got run. I think he had 326 carries that season. You talk about Derrick Henry. You talk about Adrian Peterson. Like, it's like Derrick Henry, and then I got to go back in history to guys. It's like Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and then some dudes in history. You don't get run that much and come back the same dude. And you saw it last year. Now, granted, the offensive line is not the same. The team that was in front of him was not the same. The quarterback play was definitely not the same. And so all of those things are factors, but I think you might have seen the best of what you're going to get out of Jonathan Taylor probably in his career, because those are the reasons why you look at running backs and at the end of the day you go, oh yeah, we can't pay that guy because we ran him like that, and now you're starting to see a drop off happen. Now he might come back the next season and prove me completely wrong.
Yeah. Was there anyone on the entire top 100 you thought was just ranked way too low? Now that the entire list is
out. I mean, Aaron Donald. I legitimately think, and I don't know if people talk about him in this way. I know I do. And when I have football conversations with certain people, they do. I legitimately think Aaron Donald might be the best defensive player we've seen. When you take into account his size, his stature, and being in the middle, he's not on the edge. He don't get to do a swim move to get around you.
Mm-hmm.
He got to go through you. He legit might be the best defensive player we've seen as far as linemen. For me, it's always going to be Deion, because Deion could be like, hey, put me in on offense this play. I'm going to go do it. So I always think that Aaron Donald is too low. Myles Garrett, to me, I do think is too low. Listen, if you want to go with guys that you think are,
it's gonna hurt me to say this considering where we are, but Aaron Rodgers is way too low on this list, dog. that man's like 51. Like, it ain't 50 players better than Aaron Rodgers, dog. I can't give you that.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
In the league better than Aaron Rodgers is crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No,
now,
I can't give you that.
You're going whole league, right? I guess it's tough, right? Because I think we just know what Aaron is, but it's also the talent. Like, you would never have said 50 players are better than
Yeah, nah.
than why can't I think of this fool's name right now? Peyton Manning. Right? Like that was the pinnacle of he can win all these games, he can get to the playoffs, he's not gonna win. He got a Super Bowl, but then right, he kept going with the same you did. Like Cam Jordan, Surtain, Reddick, yeah, I mean, like it's a tough one for me. That is a tough one for me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, no, I can't do that one, dog. I'm sorry. They're talking about Aaron Rodgers going to the Super Bowl now, just simply because he's on a different team because Zach Wilson couldn't get it done. Like anyone who has that level of impact on a particular team, well, you're already saying, "Hey, listen, let's fire up the Super Bowl jerseys." It's not 51 people better than that guy, or 50 people better than that guy. I'm sorry, it can't be.
I think here's the wild question. If I'm not mistaken, is Justin Fields the only Bear to make this list?
Yes, he is.
Tremaine Edmonds? DJ
But
Moore?
he didn't make it as a Bear.
You got to make it as a Bear. He's a Bear now.
Yeah, he's a Bear now, but it's based off of last season, all right? So
yeah,
they're going based off that production. He wouldn't necessarily be.
So I don't even think he's on the list.
Am I saying that wrong? Like, isn't it based off of last season?
It's based off of last season, but it's heading into this season. Yes, he is. I was expecting to see Tremaine. That's crazy. No DJ Moore? DJ Moore is not one of the top 100 players in the NFL?
Ain't that crazy? Devontae Smith is.
Well, I agree with that. Listen, I agree with that.
You think you think he's that much better than DJ Moore?
I don't think he's that much better, but I do think he's better.
Okay, I can live with that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. There's only Justin Fields is the only Bear to make this, and I get it. Justin Fields did something historic last year, something that only one of three quarterbacks has ever done. But, and I'm not sitting here clamoring for half the team to be on this list, right? Jalen Johnson shouldn't be here. None of our offensive line should be here. None of our running backs should be here. 90% of our defense shouldn't be here. But man, that's kind of crazy to me that you can't get DJ Moore and Tremaine Edmonds on this list. Tremaine Edmonds, a key part of that linebacking core that was in Buffalo, and DJ Moore. I mean, like,
I will say, rightfully so. Now that you named all the people that shouldn't be on the list, San Francisco got a lot of people on this list.
Oh yeah, I guess that also goes into it, right?
Represented well.
Winning also goes into it. Because right, like Myles Garrett had 16 sacks last season. He's 19th, I believe. Yeah, I mean, like it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Myles Garrett is 20th. He had 16 sacks last season.
Even Detroit has multiple players on his list.
Hey man, you got to win games. I guess you got to win games at the end of the day. That's what it all comes down to.
Bobby Wagner, 62.
And this is the weird part, right? This is voted by the players. This is voted by the players. This is not media doing this. This is not none of that, dog. Like this is voted by the players. So
I gotta know how they vote though. Like I gotta really see that voting process because from what I've seen, it ain't like they got a comprehensive list and they put them in order one individually. It's just like, oh, who do you think is this? And then people just like because in conversation, if I'm with you and we're talking about like our favorite, let's just go basketball just for a second argument.
Yeah.
And we're talking about top shooting guards. We probably sit there and think of Zach and D Book and stuff like that. Then they'd be like, well, how do you feel about Bradley Beal? Like, oh, I forgot about Bradley Beal. Like, so how does that work? Like, is it automated? Is it like a little checklist? Like, what are they doing and what is the setting? Because I don't believe the league, the players put Aaron Rodgers at 51. And I don't believe they put Justin.
You know what, though? I will say this. There's a lot of players in this league that don't like Aaron because of the playoff stuff, because of seeing what happened in San Francisco at home, because or seeing what happened against San Francisco at home, because of seeing, right? Like, there's a lot of players that I think in this league right now are just like, hey, man, it's over. Like, I don't believe going to the Jets is going to save your career. Now, y'all might be crazy.
Hey, y'all want to know what's crazy, though? It's even crazy. Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Kirk Cousins beat out Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott.
Who?
Kirk Cousins beat out Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, all the people that they said he was worse than. He beat all of them out from the player's perspective.
That's gross.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
I agree with Cam Jordan. He makes the right decision, but a second too slow.
Hey, apparently he makes it fast enough to be better than Aaron Rodgers, better than Dak Prescott, better than Jared Goff.
Dak I can live with. Yeah, I mean, like, are we really thinking that like Dak Prescott is just black Kirk Cousins? They the same dude, bro. Like, I'm not.
He's about to set me up for a really bad segue into that joke. I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that. I'm gonna let that fly. I'm gonna let that one fly.
You'll let that one go.
Let that one go.
Let that one slide. Hey man, let's keep this thing moving along. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Let's finish it off on this, and it's a tough moment to finish it off on, but it is what it is because Colin Cowherd's a moron. And
that's not how you segue into that.
Oh no, that's exactly how I segue into that because I've said this for a while now. I get it that you can't sit there and have a full understanding on every topic. You can't sit there and proofread every bit of information that comes across your desk. You just can't. It's impossible to do when you're covering all sports. And he covers all of these guys, right? He covers all of these teams. And I understand how hard that is because we cover 4 teams for the most part, even though I do cover the entire NBA on Locked On NBA, but we cover 4 teams for the most part, and it's very hard. Like, I have to focus on everything that's happening with a 53-man roster and focus on everything that's going on with the Bulls and focus on, the White Sox being an absolute disaster and focus on the Cubs and how they're streaking and the young guys that they're looking to bring up. And so I can see how things can get through the cracks. I can't see how things can get through the cracks when you have that much money behind a production. You want to know the difference in all that is? Colin Cowherd, I wish I could turn this around and show this, y'all. Like, I'm in here by myself right now. And I'm sitting here with 7 screens open, fact-checking stuff. Colin Cowherd comes out today, gives his list on quarterbacks that can never win a Super Bowl that were drafted since 2013. Name on that list is Dwayne Haskins, who can't win a Super Bowl because he was killed 18 months ago by a semi-truck. And my issue is not with Colin because I do genuinely believe that he didn't see that name on the list until he read it live on TV. But you got to call somebody out. You got to say, clearly there's an error on our part. Clearly there's something that somebody missed here because that's not okay. We apologize for that. You got to do that live on the air. You can't just brush past that. You can't just move past that. And it's one of those things that yet again tells me that you're not taking the time to do your research. You're not taking the time to dive deep into what you're talking about that day. It's just you, Colin. I can sit here in a solo screen and I'm going to have hours of research on it. You want to know why? Because the only thing that I'm doing during the day is talking sports. What you doing every day? Talking sports. Now, granted, much bigger scale. You running the whole thing. I get all of that, all the business stuff that goes into that. You're doing that too. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to this mic and what you say on this mic. And the only issue that I have with what he did today and why I think that he's an idiot just today, because I think he's an idiot most days, is because he doesn't call out his graphics guy in that moment. He doesn't call out the people. And I get it. Oh, it's your team. You trying to protect it. No. That ain't the time to protect somebody. You ain't got to call them out by name, but hey, clearly there's a clerical error that went out here. We want to apologize for that. Let's get that list off the screen. You sitting there still trying to make the point. Come on, dog. You better than that.
I do have to ask. I wonder if this is one of those moments where the writer's strike actually impacts those type of shows. I wonder if that's what the situation is. Because to me, it looked like a sabotage. Like, you're right. Colin in the moment probably didn't recognize what was happening. He's in the moment. He's
He
going. Like when
probably
we do
didn't.
these shows live,
Yeah.
we've been there. We say something like, "Oh, dag," like, and in his production, trying to correct it in real time it's a hard pivot. But that would be the equivalent of Joe putting it up there after researching it, Steph looking at it, researching it, AD looking at it, saying, "Yeah, that's good to go." Like somebody sabotaged that. I highly doubt. Like, is one I can agree. He has some bad takes. I can agree that
He's
he
got some
he
horrible takes. I don't like his
he
sports
has
takes
horrible
or
takes
whatever,
at
but
times. I some of the
that's
stuff
not
I actually
yeah,
agree
this
with,
ain't a
but
take at this
you
point.
know, I don't think of him as that type of a low. I don't think he'd go that low because that's a low joke. Because in all actuality, like you said, he can't win. He passed.
Yeah.
All right. So to me, that's like a sabotage moment.
I don't. And here's the thing: I'm not even sitting here telling you that he has him on the list on purpose. My issue is that this is not the first time we've seen Colin Cowherd. Now, not to this extent, but we've seen Colin Cowherd just sound like he don't know what he's talking about because he's reading something off a piece of paper, or he's reading something off of a list on the computer in front of him. You know what I mean? So, like for me, I'm not gonna sit here and I can't shoot you bail on that. The name Dwayne Haskins comes up, and the first thing I think about is he's dead. The second you saw that name on the list, you should have at least skipped over it. You just file. Okay, now you done accidentally read it. Now you down this rabbit hole. First thing you should still be thinking is, wait a minute, Dwayne Haskins ain't alive. Now you got to go through the process of, hey, this is a clerical. He went to the next point. He just, oh yeah, we just gonna keep breaking down football. Nah, it's not the time to do that, dog. And I think that it's not only disrespectful to the mic
So
that
to
you have
this
in
moment,
front
he
of.
has not issued an apology or anything like that.
As far as I know, I haven't seen anything.
Because I can see why he would move on to the next point. I think it has little to do with.
But again, for me, I'm back to your crew, right? I'm back to I don't see nothing on his Twitter. I guess that would be to me where he would issue an apology, but I don't see nothing. But to me, that would be on your crew, right? Like, ain't nobody in your ear like, hey, you know he dead, right? Like that's when I leave that show legit. I leave that show, mistakes like that, somebody getting fired.
Somebody's fired. Somebody legitimately got fired today.
Like somebody, but this is every time how many times have we done stuff like this? And it's just that now it didn't got to this point. There was nobody in his ear when he was like, hey, don't nobody name Armstrong playing for the Chicago Bears. when nobody
I
in his
really
ear.
think it's sabotage.
Like it's just it's so weird to me that we keep having these moments like that. This is the same moment as Armstrong. It's just now it involves somebody who died.
That's a fact.
Recently.
That's a fact.
So that means that you just keep letting these mistakes get through. Why? Because you're going to get social media clicks. Because and guess what? Today, Colin Cowherd, biggest name on the news. Everybody's talking about Colin Cowherd. We talking about Colin Cowherd. ESPN will be talking about Colin Cowherd tomorrow. He lives in that there's no such thing as bad publicity.
I don't think. Here's the thing. I don't look at Colin Cowherd like I look at Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless, double down on it.
Well, see, that's Skip problem though.
That
like Skip will say something dumb like that, right? He tweeted out the dumb thing after DeMar Hamlin, and then he'll go, but I mean, there was a football game to play. He'll be like, all right, now I gotta work you up.
So
you know what I mean?
I don't think Colin is that guy. I do. Do I think that he's an opinionated guy, whatever? Cool. We're opinionated guys. A lot of people don't agree with our takes, right? That's cool. It is what it is. But I don't think anyone would sit here and say, "Oh yeah, P. Kid is just going to disrespect the dead like that." Like, no, I'm not that type of guy.
He'll disrespect a lot of the living, but he'll never disrespect.
I definitely disrespect a lot of person, but I mean, like, we can talk about it. But like, I'm not going to disrespect the dead. Like, I don't think Colin's that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not trying to stick up for him and stuff like that, but I genuinely don't believe that that's a new level of low.
I think it's the moment for me, the only moment I have issue with is that name didn't instantly, not to say it didn't instantly trigger it, but like there's nothing after that. There's on the show, right? There's no, hey, we screwed up on that. Like there's a certain time to own that.
If he doesn't own it, via social media, or if he doesn't issue a
You should
public
have owned
apology
that while you
tomorrow,
still on the show.
like if he doesn't issue a public apology by tomorrow, like because I think he's that type of guy. Like he's the type of guy to be like, all right, we f this up. I'm not going to sit there and send out a tweet. I'm going to address it on my show tomorrow.
I can deal with that. You know,
if he does that, then I can't, but that does mean he has to get his ship in order because 2 times newsworthy, and then at this point it's gotten progressively worse.
It's getting worse.
Something's happening there. He needs to fix it.
Yeah, somebody's in there, or it's one of those things where, like I said, right, like, and I don't know, right, like I'm not gonna sit here and act like I also watched the entire thing. We're reacting to a clip that we're seeing on social media that's going on, and I don't know if he came back or if there was a commercial break after that or not. But from the outrage, right, it's telling me that, and from all the articles that I've read on it, there was no apology issued. There was no "oh my bad" issued, right? Like that, like you didn't go to commercial and then come back. You didn't say, "Hey, that's my bad. That's my bad. That's on me."
Yeah, I think it's too big to even say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think about how I would address it because it was a huge thing, young kid, a very tragic thing. I think that the way it happened and how bad that joke would be, if it's a joke, by the way, because that's dark humor on times 10 on a national TV show.
Yeah.
I think it just deserves its own proper apology and things of that nature. And I think that that's something he would have to fit in and then really, show some sincerity behind it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, I can see why he would move on to the next segment. And he probably did figure that out and was steaming about it. But
I don't know, man. I feel like there's so many times where he just moved past the like, oh, we got the clicks, let's do it. I want to say he's not that person, but I don't know. I just don't. But
hey, man,
it is what it is.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. We got a live show tomorrow.
We'll be live.
And by then, we'll see if he apologizes.
We'll be live tomorrow, man. We'll be breaking down everything. I'll be at camp, be coming back from camp. So I'll be tuned in, giving you guys my reaction to first day of seeing Yannick Ngakoue and what he's going to be able to bring out there. I don't even know if he's going hard yet. Yeah, he probably just slowly working his way back in. But yeah, man, ton of content coming you guys' way. Almost to real football. My God, I can't wait to get to real football, bro. First game is Saturday, man.
It would be nice to get to real football.
No, it's so nice to just see, at a minimum, just see people hit each other. This is what we play for.
I just don't want to keep trying to make up stuff.
That's the point we at in the season.
Like, I can't wait to get to real basketball. Y'all know how tiring it is waiting to see if Dame get traded.
Hey, bro.
So the rest of the league, I have a channel called P Kid Talks NBA. And nothing there. We're talking the hottest thing is Jeff Teague.
Hey, Jeff Teague podcast is great though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It is a good podcast. I ain't gonna lie. I think he be capping, but
because it's him and his brothers, and Marcus be getting fried on that mug, bro. I love it. Also the fact that Marcus Teague is like 30 something is crazy to me. But there's that. Hey man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 to 7 p.m. as we keep rocking with you guys, man. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. One love. Peace.